My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jobs, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. Welcome back. Today we have Richard Kansa, someone that has spent his entire life learning a subject that is very close to my heart right now, and that's trauma. A lot of people have their dreams over here and trauma over here, and they're stuck here where their dream is there and they don't know why they're stuck. And a lot of it comes back to trauma, conditioning, patterns, and everything to do with things that we had nothing to do with or we had no control about. And so today I'm going to be interviewing Richard because I want to learn from him or to pick his conceptual lens in as far as trauma, because he studied psychology, he studied biology, he studied neuroscience, he studied quantum physics. So he's a guy that is coming with a lot of research, a lot of science, a lot of evidence to back up what he's talking about. And so I'm excited today because we get to speak from someone who's lived, breathed, and gone through the pain. So hopefully we don't have to go through it for the longest time. Hopefully we can shortcut that time from 15 years to 1 year. And my request for you is at the end of it, if you feel served, if you feel assisted and helped, that you share this episode with one person whose life could be literally changed by lens, framework, principles, or lessons that is learned. Rick, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What did I leave out in kind of communicating what you do? What is the important thing that I left out that we can add before we dive in?
I think you covered a lot of good information. I think when people ask me essentially what is it, who are you and what do you do? I said I'm a transformational development coach. And what I do is I do basically three things. I get people clear on who they are and what they want. What they want they don't have, and give them a actual map and a blueprint on how to get that. And it's based on principles of science and biology and psychology. And it's not more information, because I think we have so much right now, we're overwhelmed with information.
Yeah.
Looking for transformation. What that is, that's actually participating in a programmatic approach that's tailored for each individual that I've gone through myself. And one of the issues I had was I was getting inundated with so much information and so many topics, and I attended so many things over the years. And the frustration was, I want something to change in my life. I don't know where to go. Sometimes when I would get more information, I would get more confused and overwhelmed. And I think that's one of the things with the internet today, with technology today, that's so easy to do. And so what I want to do is I take myself and other people out of that. And what we do is we do like I said, a programmatic approach to whatever the issue is, and to overcome it and change it and become your authentic self, because that's the end goal. What is it? The reason we're doing anything is to become more authentic self.
So let me see if I understand the context of your work and if this is exactly what we're going to deliver.
Sure.
Everyone has what they want over here, a dream, a calling, something bigger than themselves. I would love to achieve blank, but right now I'm here. And there is this gap between where I am, where I'm going, and I could be lost, overwhelmed, confused, self-sabotaging, even have no clarity or purpose. And the work with you, or the context of this conversation, is going to be, so how do we deal with these things in the middle so you can literally see a clear roadmap or a clear way that you're getting from where you are to where you're trying to go? Because there is what is stopping you from getting there. And what we're going to do is kind of wrap it around something you understand so that we can eliminate whatever obstacle, and kind of what we leave there is clarity or a clear path to get there. Is that the context of the work, or do you want to say it in another?
No, that's much it. I start with, okay, let's start at the very beginning, which is a really good point you're bringing up. Being very clear on who you are and what you want. And I think that confuses a lot of people. However, I think everybody knows who they are and what they want. They have not spent any time being in connection with that. And I think the one reason we do anything is for one only, is to feel good. That's it. And when you think, if anybody could tell me one thing that they don't go out and do that doesn't make them feel good. And so we start with that. And that actually is, so what does that mean? So what is it I want in my life? Are all my desires? My desires come from my authentic self. And how do I know them? I think I may have asked you, what's your favorite color?
Black.
Like, yeah, but how do you know?
I just know.
You just know. And when I tell people, I said, that's it. When you could tell me that, most everybody does say that so easily. We don't sit and try to figure out, well, wonder why I like black, or maybe I need to talk to somebody about why I need to know. We don't do that. Nobody does that. Just say it. So if you can tell me who you are and what you want that fast, it's going to come to you. So why don't we have that? And I think you would said that this is up here and there is a division, there's a divide between where we are and where we want to go. And I often use the analogy of a GPS system because I think everybody relates to that. The first thing it's going to do is, if you use a Siri phone or MapQuest, whatever it's going to, or even call an Uber driver, they're going to say, first thing they're going to know is, where do you want to go? You have to put that in. And you can't say, I want to go to California. Well, okay. Can you be more specific than that? So you can give them a county. Well, can you be more specific than that? Give me a city. Well, you can give me more specific. I can't take you to the city. It'll take me 5 years to find it. I need an exact address on where I want to go. That's the first thing I want to know. So this is why don't we do this with our life? So the second thing to do is, once we know where we're going, why don't we find out where we are? Now, this is not a physical place when I'm talking about where we are in this work. I'm talking about where we are in our life, where we are in our subconscious programming. Because the reason you don't have anything, we don't have what we, is because the way we're programmed. If you look at the way humans are set up, biologically, genetically, whatever it is you want to call it, psychologically, the way we're set up is we're set up with thoughts, feelings, emotions. We're set up with a guidance system. But it all comes down to understanding that this starts with our program. What's our programming? Our belief system. Now, we all know that 95% of our day is controlled by our subconscious programming. And I can point this out all the time. I said, if you drive anywhere, do you ever pay attention once you drive where you're going? No, you just do it. So you're programmed to do it. So you're programmed to get what you want in life and not get what you want in life. And we know what's interesting. Most people, including myself, I'm clean of this, didn't know how I was programmed. I didn't know what it was. So when I work with people, we're going to get you real, because until you change that, nothing changes. That's the very beginning step. So I talked to, once we're going to do is we're going to identify what the programs are. The programs are all those limiting belief systems that are keeping you from getting you what you want. Let's identify those first. They're individually based because everybody has a little bit of similarity because we're human, but they're all different because we've all had different life experiences. Doesn't matter what it is. So once you change that, then you begin to start to take back your power. And when that is, this I show you how you can change it from going from here to here, is now identify these belief systems. We're going to rewrite them. But when we rewrite,
before we get to the rewriting, it's very important that I say this. Ideally, we would all know where we're going, which is like, this is the pin, this is my destination, I'm going here. And the Uber driver would say, okay, so where are we right now? We're in New York City. Okay, so for me to move from here to there, it's going to take me a few hours or whatever, and then you move. But in life, none of us knows where we are because we have no idea what programming we have on us. We have no idea what is driving we have no idea who is running the show. So we don't really know where we are. To make things worse, we don't even know where we're going. And we are saying, drive. And the Uber driver is saying, where am I going? I don't know. Where am I? I don't know. Which is really confusion, frustration, stuck, and all of those things. I love that analogy. Before we jump into the process, I wanted you to first tell us your story, because I feel it's very important that the listener understands that this is more like born of your bone, like you've lived and breathed it. And I feel like your story is a very good piece that I wouldn't want to miss before the process I want to know where that process came from, if that makes sense.
I think this started so young in my life. I became interested in human nature and personal development just because at first I think, well, I wanted to be popular in high school. And I felt like I was very shy and kind of quiet, and I'm not a shy, quiet person. And that's kind of started the ball rolling of my interest in human nature. And I started reading and started practicing some of these things. But I think the biggest turning point came in my life because I bring all my work from personal experiences and my studies in psychology and the sciences. But when I was young, in my early 20s, I developed an intestinal disease and became very, very ill. And they had tried multiple things to try to fix this. And there was a point where I actually spent 3 months in the hospital. I weighed 90 pounds, had no hair. And I was devastated. And I thought I just didn't want to be here anymore. But there was something inside I can't quite explain. I refer to it now as like, if you're in a dark room and there's a candle, there's just flicker of hope. There's this flicker going on. I think most everybody has this, no matter what they've gone through in life. And I said, I have no idea how this is going to work out. I have no idea I just need to trust. I need to just take every moment at a time. And I did. And it took a long time to get through that. And I came back and I rebuilt myself physically and emotionally. And I gained a lot of weight, exercise, nutrition. I got into all that. And I think the universe was telling me, maybe you need to go through this so you could teach some other people not to have to go through this. And then became my interest in, and I asked people this question, if you understood how you got the way you are, if you understood the formula and the principles of how your life is, how does your personality form? Why do you do what you do? So this is what I started studying in school. I started initially got involved in, I got a degree in medical science, but I went into psychology and counseling, and I really started studying all that and working with people and worked with hundreds of people over the years on trying to answer that question. And over time and studying with many great people as well, I realized I understand the formula. And once I teach you that on how you got the way you are, and how then you could adapt that and you could change that. You could apply that principle and that formula, anything you want in your life, and your life will change. Because it's not based on opinion. It's based on psychology and the sciences. And we know so much of it today than we did before. And there's even ways we can even test some of that. But I just think the biggest test of all is the results. Doesn't matter what I say. What are the results you get? And that's when I work with my clients. I said, this is the number one thing we're working at. Results. That's it. That's what you want, right? You don't want more information. You don't want more conversation. So what we're going to do is we're going to have interactive experiences on literal change. Hopefully that answered your question. But
that's really interesting, because the other day I gave someone an offer and I said, the goal here is to find a way to get 10 clients in the door. And I said, we'll do 3 things. You pay me 10 grand. And then she said, is that all? And I was like, yeah. He said, do I get a vote? I said, no. He said, how many calls do I get? I said, I don't care. You can get 100, you can get, I don't care. And she said, so why is it so compelling yet there's nothing in it? Like, how can I possibly pay 10,000 for 4 lines yet I feel like I want to pay it? And I'm like, because they're not paying for the lines, they're not paying for the calls, you're paying for results. You want clients, right? Yeah. So anything else I say is pointless. Like, you don't want to know you want clients. And so anything else outside of that, it's not your concern. And so to your point, people don't really need new information. People need an experience that results into a result. I love that. But I would also love, like, if you could go back to your life, what do you wish you knew then that you know now, that you have the framework and all of those things? What is the thing that you wish clicked early on that you didn't have to spend a lot of time in your life struggling and suffering and failing miserably?
I wish I knew the formula on the operating system of how I work. Let's put it that way, because operating systems seem to be a great, term we use today. Do that. And I understood how I created myself, and I understood the operating system and the formula and the principles and how to that I have a guidance system that we are given as humans, all the psychological and biological information we need. We just don't use it. Most people wander through life living in default, basically letting things happen to them, with them. They don't understand that you actually can take a control over it, but they don't know what to take. How many times have you heard the phrase when somebody says, well, we'll see what happens? And this is essentially how a lot of people live life. But the sad thing is, when you're walking in a lot of different directions, you don't go very far.
It's crazy.
So you don't. I mean, just kind of wandering in circles, and most people live that way. And I learned. I wish I knew this when I was younger. But here's the beautiful part of it is I know it. I'm alive and I know it. And many people go through their life and never know it. They never utilize it. I see so many people over the years that have lived lives of quiet desperation, lived lives of just mediocrity, lived lives of unfulfilled dreams and desires because they didn't know what to do. And they got overwhelmed. And it's easy to do that. And I understand, I'm always learning something all the time, but I know how to pick and choose now. And I never knew that before. I get a lot of information coming at me, and I just deflect a lot of it because it doesn't fit into who I am and the direction I'm going in. That's all. And that is there was a study done saying, what is the most powerful energy there is? I think everybody would say love. And I have to refer back to this study. And the study came back and said, the most powerful force of energy is becoming your authentic self.
I didn't know that.
That is who you are naturally. And so oftentimes we deny it, we push it aside, we ignore it. But here's the thing. It's always going to come back to you. It's always going to call you every single day. You are going to ignore it all you want. And many people do much of their life. And I understand a lot of people come from a lot of different backgrounds in life, and a lot of life experiences that have formed and created a lot of things. And a lot of that is good. And some of that doesn't work for them. And they've got to make that decision once they become clear on that. Is this who I am? How many people do you know that are working in jobs they don't like?
A lot.
Many. And when people ask me what I do for work, I said, I don't know. I don't work. I love what I do. I always will. I'll never stop. But it's not work. Work to me is connotated now as an efforting thing. And when you can do something which essentially you are working, but this doesn't have the efforting, it's just natural expression of who you are. And when you do that, there's a different energy, and there's a sense of purpose. I know who I am and what I want. I know what my favorite color is that quickly.
I really love how you're saying what you're saying. So what I'm hearing you say is, when you find yourself lost, overwhelmed, confused, self-sabotaging, lacking clarity, lacking purpose, you need to ask the question, who am I really? You've lost touch with yourself, and these feelings, I feel, is like a silent cry of your soul saying, why have you abandoned me? Would you say that's true?
Yeah. And here's what most people most clients that come to, all of them actually, including myself, I was at this at one point, is that you're doing all the external work. And I'll give you an example. I was involved in investing for a while, residential real estate investing. And I think education is absolutely important. I mean, it's absolutely necessary. But what I see most people do, whether that's or any field, is they're buying lots of courses. They're buying all sorts of educational material. And they're wondering why it doesn't work. So much of it doesn't work. How many people start off in a business or some venture and it just doesn't work? And I'll say, the one you have to understand, it's you doing the work. So you're seeing a teacher is very successful in, say, real estate investing. And wow, they're a master. So if I study this, I'm going to be that way. Not necessarily. Probably not. Until you look at you. So I tell them, when you do the internal work first, external world changes.
We have to say that again, please, because it's going to help a lot of people.
When you do the internal work first, your external world changes. Most people do it backwards. They effort and struggle. I hear this word all the time: struggle, struggle, struggle. I never use that word. I work with my clients. I said, I never want to hear you use that word. I'm not going to say you're not going to be putting in time and doing things, and you're going to have moments where things aren't always going to be in alignment. But what's the difference is you are going to know what alignment is in the right alignment and know how to get there. I have got to focus on you. That if I tell anybody, I say, what would be the one thing I would tell anybody to do in their life? I would, without a doubt, nothing is even close, is working on you, because everything you're looking for outside is there. And you will see successes beyond what you believe. Not only that, it's how you feel in the course of the day. You just don't get up in the morning, you wander through the day. I know what, get up in the morning, I know what I'm doing. I know who I am, what I want. And it's such a wonderful thing. Because I'm always, you know what the definition of satisfaction is? I love this definition. Moving in the direction of your desires. Isn't that beautiful? I love moving in the direction of my desire. So I want to be satisfied and happy in life. I'm always moving in the direction of my desires. So it's not that car that I want. It's the process of getting that car. It's not that job, that career I want. It's a process. It's not that person I want. It's the process of creating. Think of it this way. When you go on a vacation, say you want to go to Hawaii, you say, okay, I'll go to Hawaii. I'll just go there. It's the process. It's all the excitement of planning the trip, of going on it, of packing, of flying, whatever it is. All these little pieces are part of the experience. So I think when I tell people, I said, once you understand what a manifestation is, because we hear the words I hear all day long are manifestation and mindset. And I think that there's a lot of confusion around that. And it's just like, I said, okay, tell me what you mean by that. And then we'll get a clarity call on that. But it's because the manifestation is not necessarily the end point. It's the steps along the way.
It's the aligned action. I feel like you just dropped something so good for people in business. You put on this podcast, you see me doing my thing, you see Kansa doing his thing, and you're like, I am going to start a podcast. No, you need to find who you are before you start a podcast. I don't even know how to put it. You see somebody crushing it with I don't know what, and you're like, I'm going to do that thing. No, that's not the answer. You see there's a lot of people who are going to be successful doing different things. However, it does not mean you're going to be successful until you find you and find the thing. I don't know.
No, I think
until you find you and you find that uniqueness you have and you leverage that to the service of somebody else, it's not happening. Until you do this work of understanding the programming that is taking you around, deconstructing that, finding the real you, the raw you, the green you, and then saying, okay, what does this person bring to the table? Or what do they want? Or where do they want to go? You don't have the same level of, what is the word? Like you can start a podcast and you won't have the same effect.
Right.
Unless
here's a mistake people make. And when I work with people, I teach them, I said, you need to know two things. You need to know the what and the why, and let go of the how. Where you're focused how this is going to happen. Because what we're doing is that we're kind of programmed in a sense to figure out, if I want to do something, I already kind of have a few ideas on how I want to do this and how it's going to work out. And what happens is it so often doesn't do that, because here's one of the mistakes we make. I've learned to train myself not to do this, to become attached to the outcome. This is how this is what I'm going to do. And this is how it's going to work out. If I want a job or career, I'm going to do 10 contacts with resumes, and one of those is going to work out. And often it doesn't work that way. So what happens is once you get very focus your energy on the what and the and that becomes powerful. And then I teach people, I said, I'm going to show you how to allow the how to show up. And I tell you what, it's not going to show up. I'm working with clients right now that are going through this exact same thing. And they tell me all the time, this is not how I thought it was going to happen. I said, yes, exactly the point. Because you've allowed it before, you were denying it, because it wasn't like, oh, because most people who are in business, every entrepreneurs, business owners particularly, or people even in general, really have one of the things we really like to have is a sense of control. And many people are control freaks, as they use the term. We want to know what's going to happen. We want to control what's going to happen, because that gives us a sense of empowerment. And I said, no, you can do that. That's not how the universe and the world works.
I like to tell people the what belongs to you. You need to answer that calling, but the how, it was never for you. It was never yours to worry about. To start
it was never.
It was never yours. I want to jump into, I'm confused, I'm lost. I have no idea who I am. I just know I'm not happy. And I want result. I don't even know if I know what I want at this point. But I'm coming to you, I'm like, help me. I'm lost, I'm overwhelmed, confused. I lack clarity. I feel like I'm going nowhere. Maybe I'm plateaued. I feel like I'm moving around. Right. Nothing I'm touching seems to be working. Give me that process. I know the first one was, let's find out who's running the show.
Yeah.
So here's how let's get there and then pack that framework, because I feel like we had started it and then we dropped it.
That's good. That's fine. And what I do is I start with when I have people go to my website, and there's a questionnaire there. And I fill out the questionnaire. So it's kind of a beginning place. They feel a connection, and it gives me a little bit of information. And then what at that point is if this is going to fit something you want to do. And I kind of explain what the program is going to be and how this is going to work. It's very interactive and it's very educational. But the goal is to get the results. So when I start working with people, once we begin to agree to go that way, is the first thing someone is, I want you to describe your life to me in writing. And here's the basically 4 areas of your life are made up of your career, your finances, your relationships, and you as physically, mentally, spiritually. And what I do is I say, you have to write this down. Nothing is trusted by memory. And I even get into the science of writing things down. Like we could talk about it at some point. But when you do that, you're actually now getting clarity. You're making a commitment to find out what life is. Now, what I've noticed with everybody, they are doing some things that are working out right and well in life. So it's not like everything's not working. Although some people say right now, a lot of my life is not working. And then we go into some point where you can identify your strengths. So it's not like saying my life is all not working and it's not falling into place. What could be happening is one area of their life is not working well. And it certainly affects that because everything's connected. You can't have your career not working and not affecting your finances, relationships, and your physical health. How many wealthy people do you know? I think this is one thing I think is unfortunate is when people are searching online, and it's very important. Don't get me wrong. I think it's extremely important. They're searching on how they can make a lot of money. Great. I think you all should. However, I know so many people that have a lot of money that are so miserable. How many times do you turn on the news and you see a celebrity or somebody who's either on drugs or not here anymore? Did money do anything for them? I'm saying that it's important as one of the components of life, because if you're going to have all this money, why not be happy with it? Why not relationships work? Why not have your health work? Why not be happy in what you're doing? So you're not working 80-hour weeks.
You know what I find, Rick, is money is like I think that these things are like levels of awareness or something, because when a person thinks it's the money they want, they're not gonna be convinced of, like, it's just money and money and money and money. And then I think once the money is gotten, something happens and another need opens up. And then they realize, oh, my relationship sucks. And now they focus on that. And I think as people become successful, they just realize how superficial the money was to start with. But I think that when somebody doesn't have the money at all, it has a way of dominating the whole entire, I don't know, how does it work? They don't see anything.
No, that's it. No, yeah, I agree. The money is energy. It's simple. Money is energy. So if you want to make money, do the internal work and you're going to make it. And not only that, the most important thing is why do you even want it? It's to make you feel good. It's to make you happy. And after a while, you get so much of it, then what? Once you buy all the toys, once you get all the money, 6, 7, 8 figure, 9 figure, I don't care what it is. And I know people in all those brackets. Then what? So what happens is, yeah, it brings you great joy once the internal work is, I tell you what, experiencing it is a very different thing because the rest of your life has balance and alignment. That's what you're really looking for. How many people with $1 billion who had a horrible health condition wouldn't give most of their money away?
To get it back.
They would. Yeah. That is so important. So when you think of all these things in your life, it's, yeah, you can have it, but put it into the balance. It's not like you can't do it. You absolutely can. You're just going to enjoy it a heck of a lot more.
That's a very sensitive topic to talk about, because when someone has no money right now, like zero, everything we are saying is Chinese. They're like, don't even tell me anything. But once they have the money and they're unhappy, now it makes sense.
Right. When people have money, they absolutely do need it because it's one of the you have. What does it do? It's an energy. It's a means of exchange to give us our basic needs: food, water, shelter, these sort of things. Yes, you have to have it. So what I say is, when you were doing this work, is what I want people to do is learn how to live a life more of inspiration rather than motivation. But you're going to have to discipline and do motivation until you can learn how to do this work and get more in alignment, to use more inspiration. So if there is a lot of things that aren't working in your life financially, say there's nothing going on and it's in a really bad situation, yeah, there's ways to change that. Thinking negatively and badly about it, it's not going to do it. It's obvious it's right around you. Here's the one thing that I think is really interesting. I get people to understand. It comes from the area of quantum physics, which has been essentially studied quite a bit. I mean, is most of the time, look at our 3D world, our as-is world, and look at what we want that is not there. So I'm at this dream of, I want certain things in my life, but they're not there. So rather than focus on what I want, I on what is. And the universe is going to bring you more of what you focus on. Where you put your energy, that's what your focus is. That's what comes into your life because you're creating it. And how are we creating it? We're creating it through imagination. One thing I do in with groups, sometimes I'll hold up a phone, an iPhone. I said, where do you think this came from? I said, show me an iPhone from 2001, 2002. Nobody could do it. I said, well, what do you mean? There wasn't one. Why wasn't there one? Where was it? I think it started in 2004. I think Android and Steve Jobs and Apple and stuff kind of started this technology pretty much around the same time. Where did it come from? Where did this thing in your physical world, which has literally changed your life dramatically, come from? It came from imagination. So if we go to, I'll leave you with this with quantum physics. I love one of the quotes that Einstein said, who was a genius, said the field controls the particle. Well, what is that supposed to mean? He was referring to the field is energy, in energy imagination. Imagination is energy. That's where that phone came from. What's the particle? Particle is the 3D world. It's the reality. It's that thing you touch. He said, so from a quantum physics viewpoint, the field of energy, of thoughts, your guidance system of energy, the thoughts you fill out, the emotions you fill out, the energy you put out into the universe, you connect with, draws back into your experiences in life. So how do we attract these things? Once you're connected in alignment, it shows up through intuition, synchronicities, rendezvous, calls, thoughts. I'm going to do something. Something comes. I have this happen, and it's a wonderful thing once you understand that. Because think of it, where did everything that's in our physical world come from?
Mm.
It once came from a place of imagination. It was a non-physical thing that came into the physical world.
Mm.
And once you understand how to utilize that, things change.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
It does. Let's go back to the process though of
Yeah.
confusion to a place where I like know where I'm going and I'm fired up.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to give a little bit of structure and tangibility to that process of where I'm completely lost and probably not happy with one area of my life, and that's drifting in all areas
Yeah.
to a place where clear on purpose and on fire if we can.
Yeah.
That process.
Yeah. Sure. When I have people do the exercise of writing everything in their life, we're going to find out where things are missing, where these are the things that they don't have.
Oh, yeah.
And
Career, finances, relationships, and you, mentally, physically, spiritually. Okay.
go on.
So you have them do the questionnaire. Mm-hmm.
And then one exercise I work on is another exercise I work on is we're going to kind of flip that. This is how your life is now. And then I want to look at what your life is going to be like and all those ideas. And I say to I want you to come down, write down the similar kind of thing on your ideal life. What is it you want? And there's two things I'm looking at. I'm looking at where each individual is in their level of awareness and consciousness, because consciousness is everything. Most people go through their life, through their day, unconscious.
Wow.
I do too. So I'm talking about what being conscious means is I want you to become aware of what's going on in the moment. We hear about this all living in the now and the present moment, this sort of thing. What that is all that is a very important. It's conscious. All we have is the present moment. And so if I'm very present in my moment, I'm very conscious, I'm aware of what's going on, that starts the ball of clarity. So to answer your question, once I have the people write out all these 4 areas of life, I have them to write another one on my ideal life in those 4 areas. And what I'm looking for is when we're looking for two things. We're looking on what level of clarity you have now we need to work on up here. And what level of clarity you have right now of what's not working. And what I do is I teach you how to take that and get really clear on both those areas. Because I have to start with first, what's your level of understanding of who you are? I mean, everybody comes in with some insight. Some have a lot of insight. Some don't have a whole lot of insight. So it doesn't matter because we're all individuals. I'd rather start with the individual person and write out an individual map for you. And then what happens, I'm going to say now what I'm going to teach you the rest of the thing is the formula and the principles and the guidance system. And what that simply is what are we made up of? We're made up of what? We have a brain and a body. Our body is a language of emotions. Our brain is a language of thoughts. And what I see many people do is having a thought here, an emotion here. It's going in different directions. Your energy's scattered. Here's an example. What is that supposed to mean? Well, give me anything. I could use an example for anything on that. I want to be successful, or I want to make $10,000 a day or a month, whatever it is. And then when we look into the thing well, I don't think I can do it. I don't know how. It's too hard. It's too overwhelming. I don't know where to begin. They're smart. They can do it. I can't. Well, it was my parents' fault. It was my upbringing fault. So many people have come from there was a study showing that 67%, and I think it's even higher, of people have experienced trauma in their life. And after working with hundreds of clients, I believe that's fair. So we can't say that it's a trauma we've had in our life. And yeah, some people have lived through some horrible things. I know I have. But actually, what if I show you that what you live through is no longer your pain, but your power? And once you can incorporate that, and this is, I will do with a number of clients, we've done this, and I've done this with myself. Things change.
So,
yeah, it's powerful.
So I think, I don't know, you're breaking up a little bit, but what I'm picking is the first thing is like, let's see where you're at. Career-wise, finances, relationships, mentally, where are we? And then what is the ideal life? What do you want? Where do you want to be? So more like, let's get clear of the where they are right now versus destination, that pin. Where is the place you want to land? And then inside of that, the framework comes.
Yes.
What are you made of right now? What substance are you made of right now? And some people are just made of the wrong fiber at the moment. They have patterns going, they have programming going, they have limiting beliefs, they have trauma, and this is not the fiber they need to get there.
Right.
But I think what you're saying is the first step is to really understand what fiber you're made of at that point. So then after understanding the fiber I'm made of, if I'm made of weak fiber and yet I see myself as an opera, but I don't have an opera substance, what is step 2 for me?
I don't know that's always I see as people as weak. What I see is people as focused in the wrong direction, meaning that I think people feel a weakness and a sabotaging and disempowerment because they're living in negative emotions. When I teach you and work over the emotional scale and show many people think of this way, lower, very primal emotions, what we refer to as primal emotions, survival emotions, that are hardwired probably for millions of years whenever brains were formed. Take care of ourselves because of that time in primitive times we needed to. You know, the fight or flight sympathy. If we look at that, we're looking at people who were experiencing back then were dealing with fear and anxiety, and they had to react very, very quickly. These sort of things. What happens is people today, we don't have to run away from a tiger or a dinosaur or whatever it is. Now we're faced with people every day in our workplace, on the road, in our lives, our families, whatever it is. And we still experience that feel of anxiety and frustration and fear and anger, apathy, depression. All these are very, very low level emotions. And when you're feeling, it's not like you're feeling that, you're living there. And what happens is when I'm looking at somebody, it's what they feel is maybe a weakness. I said, no, you just trained yourself to live in the wrong place. And we're going to retrain you how to do that. And when you do that, it's like the energy lifts. I use an analogy sometimes talking about people. I say, think of it how this works for us. Say you were in a room and at the top of the room, it was a big room. At the top was just screens that had everything you want, showing everything, every one of your desires in your life was there. But the room was dark. And all you had was a candle or a light with one little flicker. What would you see? Nothing. Because your energy is so low. It's so negative. It's so misdirected. So what I want to do is I want to turn up that light. As that light turns up, everything in your life is going to show up because you now see it. And what that simply means is once you raise and change your energetic levels from primal and survival to higher level of emotions and learn how to be in that alignment, and that's the key. How do I get there and stay there? And when I get out of there, how do I go back? Once you learn that, your life is totally different.
So I'm taking notes. Previously, when we spoke, you said the what and the why is yours, the how does not belong to you. And as we get to alignment, I am beginning to think, because for me, because I've done a lot of things, now I am used to surrender. When I know that I want to make this podcast because there's a lot of people whose message needs to go out.
Right.
And I know that the what is this? This is the podcast. I'm going to make it. Why? Because I need people's messages out. I have come to a place where the how is, I'm fine not knowing what will come of the podcast. My job is to find the guests that have a message that needs to be shared. And my job is to interview them and have them deliver their message. Now, the how of everything else, I have learned to just let it not be my problem. But this is a problem for people. How do we get to just stay in alignment and let go of the outcome or what's good? Like, how do we get that to go? Because I don't know that I have a system for that. I just know that through repetition, I have come to trust that not knowing the how and worrying about it is always better for my brain and for everything else. But how do you think through being able to develop that muscle?
Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to be conscious of what's going on, and then you need to know what to do. And this is when I refer to the formula and the principles kind of thing. Once I become conscious of what it is, then I'm focusing on the what and the why. I learn to, again, what this work is about is once I teach you this, it's practice every day. I practice every day. And what happens is after a while, these programs, which are soft wired, become more hardwired. Right now, the hardwired programs are, which is causing your life not to work in the areas that are not working. And what happens is you keep doing that. You look at the law of attraction simply says you can, whatever you focus on, you get. And it also means whatever you focus on that you don't want, you get. It's not what you want, what you get. And I even take that a step further because I like the definition. The universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you who you are. Who am I? If I am a person that is focused on my imagination and this is what I want, this is who I am, this is what I want, I have no idea how I'm going to get there. I'm going to allow the process to take place. And I'm going to let go of control. I have plants, as you can see. And one of the reasons I have a lot of plants is they teach me something. Is they teach me that I give them what they want and they survive and do well. I don't ask them, are you going to bloom today? Or are you going to grow today? I don't ask them that. I don't plant the seed and say, a few days later, what are you doing down there? We don't do that. We trust it, right? We inherently, anybody who has grown anything, I tell people, get some dirt, get some seeds and grow it. Watch it. Teach yourself something. You trust the process. You know that this is going to happen. And it does all the time, right? You plant seeds, they grow into something, whether it's flowers or vegetables or whatever it is, they grow, but you leave them alone. You give them what they need and you let go of the how. It's going to happen. And the more you try to fuss with them and play with them and water them and overwater them and do this or that, they don't like it.
So let me try to give you where I am. Let me try to give you my 2 cents of what I think the process is or what I think we have learned now. Let's recap a little bit. And I want you to tell me what we are missing at that point. The problem that most of us have is, 1, we don't know where we are. 2, we don't even know where we want to go. And then we wonder why we are lost, overwhelmed, confused, self-sabotaging, lack clarity, and lack purpose. Like how could we possibly not be? Because we don't know who's running the show and we don't even know where we're supposed to be going. And yet we are trying to do things, wake up, build a business, build a marriage, be happy. Like, how is that supposed to happen? So whatever result we have is a miracle because it's by luck or chance that it's even happened. It's by luck or chance that some of us have not drunk poison because that's what we are doing. We're moving through life blindfolded, literally, and we haven't knocked yet. And that's a miracle, right? That's how I'm receiving it. And so when you get to work with Rick, or when you get in his world, the first thing is, where are you? And we're looking at career, we're looking at finances, we're looking at relationships, and we're looking at the person, physically, mentally, and spiritually, because that is really what this is about. So, like, where are we? Knowing where we are is going to then really help us see it for what it is. But also, before we can see the gap, it's like, what is the ideal that needs to be happening. Now, what I know is that you need to know where you are and where you're going, and that gap there is not yet your concern. But you need to know where you are and where you would love to go, even though you have no idea how you're going to get there. But that's the first piece that needs to get clear. And then, as the process unfolds, we need to understand what you're made of, what programs are you having, what are the subconscious patterns, what are the beliefs, what are the habits that you have built right now that are bringing the results that you have today. And off of that, how can we raise the energy from where it is to where it needs to be to give ourselves the best chance to go where we're going? And I see the other part was more of alignment, but
yeah,
I have a disconnect there. So once we raise our energy and we move from this survival instinct, because we are not wild animals anymore, and we can now go more into response and self-regulation, then I'm wondering, where does the alignment come from?
If alignment, a couple points I want to make. Alignment can come negatively or positive. Because we have negative doesn't mean that they're bad. Here's the issue. We need the primal emotion, so you don't step out in traffic and get run over. You get afraid, you get anxious. Okay. The point is, negative emotions are used to serve as contrast. What I want and what I don't want. It's not meant to live there. When you go to a play, what do? You focus on what you want, but what you don't want is there too. I just don't focus on it. When I go to a restaurant, what am I doing? I'm looking for what I want. So what I'm doing is, how do you know what you want if you don't know what you want? So if you were in a situation where you're in a business meeting, for example, and you're meeting some new people, what I teach people to do is pay attention to the vibration. Pay attention. Not the words. This is what I do. So what happens is, if you're going to be learning, if I feel frustrated, I feel uncomfortable, I feel anxious, I don't feel, this is good. It's teaching me what I don't want is there. Because now I know what I want, now what I don't want, so I'm paying attention to that. So that teaches me something. And I think that that's really incredible. So what happens is, but the point with alignment can occur negatively or positively. And I think we often hear about people saying, I want to get into the flow. I say, I'll teach you how to get in the flow. And when you're out of the flow, I'll show you how to get back in, because you're going to get out of the flow. You don't get in the, it's not like a degree. I get there and I'm there 100% of the time. You keep it, but the point is, that's good because I'm learning along the way. And before I forget this point, one other point that I want to make is, when I work with people too, is I see people coming in from business or entrepreneurs who are making some money, they're having some level of success, but here's the problem. I can't get past it, or something else in my life is falling apart. Because people we're doing is they're putting a lot of motivation and effort in to be successful at something. And a lot of the world works that way. And a lot of people burn and get sick. Or have a lot of problems, and they get knocked down, they don't want to get back up. So the thing that's important to understand is, you may work at something and reach your level of success, and you can't go past it because your programming won't allow you. You may say, I'm now making 5 or 10K a month or more. I want to make 50, and I can't do it. Well, yeah, you're going to have to. The answer to that is, you're going to have to become a different person, and that's what incorporates all this work. I said the identity of somebody who makes 5K a month, and so the identity of someone who makes 500K a month is not the same individual. Close.
So then, Richard, now you know what you're made of. Are you saying the identity is the changing of emotion? Because when you said raise your energy, what I understood is focusing on the positive emotion. But what you're saying is there's need to change your identity so you can become the person that is trying to achieve result. Right. So is that part of changing or raising my energy? Is like getting a new identity? Okay.
Yes.
So you get to understand what you're made of, who is running the show, the patterns and programs that you have, trauma, and all of those things. You now raise your energy by actually getting the tools that you need to get the obstacles out of the way.
Here's my identity. My identity is, if I make 1,000 or 5,000 a month, this is what I think I'm worth. That's my identity. So I'm listing all what that person is like. Let's list them all. Let's go through the whole thing. I'll show it to you. You're going to show it to me. Show you. You're going to show it to me, and then you're going to be amazed. Go, what? I go, yeah. See. So what does that person who makes whatever that amount is? Is it 50, 100, 500 a month? I don't care what it is. What do they like? They're a very different person, and what you have to become that person, and that is a process.
I get
but
it.
once you learn what that is, I'm moving in the direction of that process all the time. And sometimes, you know what? I'm going to fall down. I'm going to have a slip. I'm going to fall down. I have clients who tell me, you know, Rick, I just had a bad day today. I go, good. What did you do? There's nothing wrong with that. Here's the problem. Staying there. I don't care if you had a bad. What happens is now they've learned. They go, okay, I know the ways you've taught me how to get out of this. And what happens is it eliminates a lot of negative stuff because I don't beat myself up or a horrible. I just learn what to do now. I said, that's it. It's not that things, because life is always going to give you things. The difference is you are going to know how to handle it. Life is going to happen to you. You're going to be different.
So once you know what you're made of, you know what the enemy is, you can work on that enemy. And what happens is now your job is to stay in alignment. And if you get out of alignment, get yourself back, because now you know the enemy and you know how to maneuver around the enemy. You do it until now you have a new programming that supports the dreams that you have. And you better stay doing it. You better trust the process and know that at one point, all these things will become a part of you. And just as you're functioning now in the state you're in, you'll be able to function in the state that you want to be, but it takes some time. And you need to trust the process. And also, you need to understand that life will throw you its curves, and you just need to keep coming back. And it's a process, like it's a forever process. And the more you level up, the more you have to do it again, right?
Yes, and how you're going to do that is once you have the information, I would teach people. I said, you're going to have a day different, because what happens is we're going to schedule your day. It's not so much of it, and it's going to be more efficient, and you're going to feel better. Like I tell people, what do you do in the morning? What are you doing? What do you do all day? And that is what most people don't really have a set plan on what they do. Some do, or some of it's very kind of weak. And what I've learned over time is the psychology and the science of teaching it, because look, we're all human. We have all the same biological and psychological makeup. Once we use that, what that simply means is, think of it this way. Okay, we have thoughts and feelings. I talked about that as a guidance system. We're all made up of what too? We're all made up of a body and a brain. The body is the language of emotions. The brain's the language of thoughts. We all have a 24-hour cycle, don't we? It's all made up of what? There's an circadian and circadian rhythm. We have a 24-hour cycle, that we have 90-minute cycles. We have patterns of consciousness that go from alpha, beta, theta, and delta. That's another conversation. I teach people how to utilize those. You have them. Right now we're in beta. Most of your waking day, or all of your waking day, well, not most of your waking day, not all of your waking day, is in beta. We also slip into alpha. You don't know how, if you understand how to utilize the other states of consciousness, like alpha and theta are the door. People say, well, I don't know if I have it. I said, did you sleep? Yeah. Did you wake up? You have it. You have no clue you have it. You're using it. And once you learn how to use it, that's part of the formula and the principle. So I know I throw a lot of information out at people, but I hope that there's something that they could pick up from this, because what happens is all of this information, I can guarantee you, because I see it myself and other people, gets so much clearer and understood once you experience the process of this work. That's it. Everything changes.
Which takes us to our next step, because this podcast really is known for you to get more information and be happy or feel better. This podcast is for you who feels called for more and you're ready to move. You're just tired of being stuck. You're just tired of being in mediocrity, and you just know that there's a calling on your name and you're ready to move. When you see the how, you grab it. And so hopefully Richard has given us like proper steps from chaos to alignment. And now the next step is understanding how he can support. So you don't have to be stuck again going, okay, now I know this. How? The how does not belong to you. That's why Richard is here. Richard, I would love for you to take me to what you do behind the scenes and tell me what you have. Like, how can people be involved right now in the work you do to keep the momentum going?
Well, one thing they could do is if they want to get more information, if they want to talk with me, it's up to them. They can get more information by going to my website. It's called myrewiredmind.com. It's MY and the word rewired, REWIRED, mind, MIN.com. On there, I have some more information. There's also a questionnaire if you choose to do that. I think I've got a couple some testimonials in there. So that's one way you could kind of get some information, and there's a way to contact me if you'd like to do that. I'm going to be actually expanding some of the work I'm doing right now. I'm in the process of doing what I say I talk about, and I'm excited about some of the things, and I'm not going to unfold them right now, but I'm just going to say it's moving in the direction of my desires. That's what it is. And that's what I want everybody that's listening. I could show you how to do it. And believe me, I'm not any different than anybody else. I'm not special. What's made me special and will make you special, because you already are, is to utilize these internal principles and this internal work you already have. You're just not utilizing it. Maybe because you're not aware and nobody's taught you. It took me years to put this together and to go through a lot of things were some tough places that I had to overcome, but I'm so fortunate. I think I've been blessed that the universe has given me this opportunity to know it now. So hopefully that will help somebody.
I feel like Rick has given us enough. Enough, like really. What are you made of? Who's running the show? How do we change that? How do we get the right guy to run the show? How do we get you running the show, not the patterns, the trauma, the conditioning? How do we get you in the driver's seat? How do we get attuned to be able to know what's for us and what's not? How do we get in touch with ourselves to kind of hear the yes and the no and just respond accordingly? How do we get this shift and get it to be the new pattern, the new programming, the new ideal life that we want? How do we make sure that we're always checking and getting in alignment? How do we get the habits? How do we get empowered to check in and go, no, I don't want that, so we can reverse it? How do we get to check in so a yes is a yes, so we don't spend time or waste energy in the wrong direction for unnecessarily longer time than we have to? Really, how do we get to put the pin where we are? How do we get to put the pin where we're going? And how do we get to put the other milestones along the way so that we're getting there? The information is here. You guys have the information now. You're listening to this because you're called for more. You know there's a calling on your life, and you know that you don't want to be wasting time serving information. So it is my call to action for you. I want you to go to Rick's website, and I want you to book a call with him and get in the room. Let's stop messing around with information, because nothing will change if you don't get in the room. You think about it. If we wanted to lose weight, we would lose weight. All of us. We all know how to lose weight. Do this and do that. I don't know. But there is a simple formula to lose weight. We all know what it is. Look around you. How many people are not doing it? Which really tells me that just because we know something doesn't mean we're going to do it. And so if you're here because you need to hear this. Quit consuming and get in the room. Go to Rick's website and book a call. Or if there's no book a call button, I'm going to be putting it in the show notes. Book a call, get in the room. Yeah, hopefully
it'll be the website at the myrewiredmind.com. Hopefully that'll be, somebody can look at the print and then maybe copy and paste, put that in, and then just check. I think basically I'll end up with this. The basic of the call is, does something resonate? Does something, I do this all the time. Does something vibrate or resonate with me where I want to know more? And if you have that, just check it out. You have nothing to lose. And your life could change.
But the biggest and grandest thing you can do for me on this show, on this planet, the biggest thing you can do to support the work on my life, the biggest thing you can do to support Rick is identify one person that this work would change their life and share this information with them in their private space. Rick serves people that are lost, overwhelmed, confused, self-sabotaging, lacking clarity, lacking purpose, and simply unhappy where they are right now. And I want you to scan your contacts, and I want you to pick one person that you think Rick will bless, and I want you to share this episode with them. That's the biggest thing you can do for me. And if you're watching this because somebody shared it, that's because it's a string, and you don't want to be the person breaking the string. Someone shared it with you, so please share it with someone who will share it with someone, who will share it with someone, who will share it with someone, because that's the whole basis of the best kept secret. Right. Getting people with the most powerful work out in the world. You and I get to do this. Of course, the other things you can do to be involved is wherever platform you are, you can follow, you can subscribe, you can comment, you can rate, you can review, whatever the platform allows you to do, please try and do that, especially if you feel like this show is serving you. My dream is that I'll be at a point one day where I can invite anyone to the show and they will say yes. So imagine if I was to go to Oprah and say, Oprah, I want you to come to the world's best kept secret, because that's my dream. There's one question I need to answer. And that question is, how big is the community? And I need to be able to look kind of face and say a couple of millions, because most people will say yes if I have the number. And you do not know how much of a say you have in this. When you subscribe, you give me that power. When you share, you give me that power. And together, we can build this platform. That's my humble ask. Rick, we are winding up, but we are hoping that you will send us off with some words of wisdom.
I would say that anybody listening to this, like I mentioned, if something vibrates with you, if you want something different in your life, I can't stress this enough. Do the internal work, and everything in your external life will change. I live it. I see with people all the time how this works, and you don't need to know how. That's what I'm here for. You just need to learn what you already have inside of you. And once you understand the formula and principles, focusing on your authentic self, everything's going to change. That's it. It's simple. May not be easy, not easy at first, but believe over time, like you're going to live your life anyway. You're going to go month after month, year after year, do what you're doing, and you're going to get the same kind of things. Yeah. We all have to take the initiative to make the decision. I want something different. I'll leave it at that. Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed this time. Hopefully people got something out of this. That was the goal, and be happy to talk further with anyone else. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And for our dear listeners, thank you so much for being on. I really hope that it has served you. If you feel a calling to Richard's message, if you feel something on your heart, I will remind you the yes belongs to you. The rest after that, do not. So if you're feeling the calling, if you're feeling the connection, that's the reason you're here, because the signal will come. What you do with it is not up to us, but the signal will come. The genuine signal for the connection of this platform will come. If this is your message, you know it in your bone marrow that it's your message. Whether you do something with it, that's not on me. But I hope that you do. I appreciate you sincerely, and I hope that I will see you soon with yet another guest. Have a great day. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the world's best kept secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.